Wealthy Author Podcast, episode number 30, Your High Vibe Business with Laura DiFranco and Donnie Boivin. Welcome to another episode of the Wealthy Author Podcast. I am your host, D. Orlando Fortune. This is a show about business and authors. With the growing demand for information, entrepreneurs must learn how to turn their ideas into words on a page that bring in cash and share a unique message. This podcast brings you the strategies, tips, and bars to do just that and do it well using a book. I have a special gift for you, my listeners. You've been listening to the podcast because you're thinking about writing a book. And one of the biggest challenges I hear is, Fortune, I want to write a book, but when I sit down to do it, my brain goes blank. I have all these ideas and poof, they're gone. Well, I've heard you and I have a solution. Now, what if I told you that you could get rid of that anxiety, that you could plan out your entire book in less than an hour? And do it in such a way that when you finally sit down to write the words will just flow out of you, just like they do when you're having a conversation. You could eliminate the nerves because you have a plan. Now, would that help? Your solution is the 4 Brains templates. This strategy uses both sides of the brain, the logical and the creative, to pull out your message and give you prompts that make writing as easy as answering questions. No more stressing out over the blinking cursor on the screen that seems to be mocking you, or typing out a bunch of garbage that you eventually delete. Grab your copy of the template at thoughtfortunepress.com/4brains and get your message done right the first time. Now, by this time tomorrow, you'll be amazed at how easy it was to finally get started on becoming a real author. Don't wait any longer because you didn't know how to get started. With this template, you'll finally feel confident that you'll be able to write your book. Remember, you're only one book away from your next business breakthrough. Go to thoughtfortunepress.com/4brains and get the goods now. So welcome to today's episode with Laura and Donnie. I really enjoyed this episode. These two are playful the whole time, bouncing back and forth with each other as far as throwing little side jabs at each other, but all in light fun. But yet in between all of that, there are so many bars that are dropped in here, y'all. I have so many highlights from quotes that I took direct quotes from them. It's going to really enjoy listening to this interview as much as I did if you are ready. This is one of the episodes you might want to just sit down and listen to as opposed to, doing your running or exercising or groceries or whatever it is you may be doing. This is the one you might want to sit down for and really take in. So in today's episode, you're going to learn, among other things, about the one tool that's going to simplify your writing, about writing your book, even when you don't like to write. Okay. This is a simple tool. It's not something that it's not something that's super exciting, and it's not something that's going to blow your mind, but it's going to simplify your writing if you do it. Okay. There's another idea of that. It's in taking the action that you'll get the clarity you crave for the next step. Oh my God, it's such a profound thought here. I'm not even going to go into what that means. I want you to listen to the episode and find out what that means. But it's about failure, y'all. You got to move forward. There's another idea here of why don't make friends out of your clients. That's some archaic practice, some old practice. And in this new age, that is actually bad business. You want to get away from that. So what would you want to do instead? Donnie's going to give you some ideas about what to do there. Donnie also talks about the one idea that's more important than knowing your why. And this kind of, when he first said it, I was like, what? Because there's so many people, you hear it so often said by business consultants, that, and business philosophers, that you got to start with your why, or know your why. Know your why, know your why. In fact, I even start my episodes off. One of the first questions is, what is your business? And more importantly, why did you start your business? That's an important question. But there's another idea here, and it was a profound thought there as I listened to Donnie break that idea down. The whole impetus for everything that we're talking about here is that what Laura said, which is, you were born, so you are worthy. And that is the idea that a lot of us are trying to get over when we start writing. Even the most prolific writers, as they get to writing their next book or get ready to publish their next book, or in the middle of writing the book, there's this thought that comes up to them like, oh my God, this is crap, or why am I doing this? No one's going to like it. We still have that idea in our mind. So that is the backdrop for understanding what your high vibe business is, and aligning these different pieces of who you are and your business towards some certain principles. So you want to pay attention and find out what those are. Let's get started.
All right, so excited. All right, we have our second duo. So we're gonna have some more fun here as we get two perspectives on some great ideas about building businesses. Today's episode, y'all, you know what? I want to make sure I hear these things, because before the call, I've been hearing joking, I have laughter, I hear this back and forth, so I hear the connection here, and I just want to be part of the group today. So hopefully I'm a cool guy. I can become part of the cool kids right today. So let me go ahead and start.
You're the cool kid simply because you got us here, Fortune. So we're good, man.
Mission accomplished. We're already in there. We are in there. All right, so let's get started with the bio before we dive into today's conversation. Laura DiFranco and Donnie Boivin met when Laura was a guest on Donnie's Success Champions podcast and became fast friends and collaborators. Now they're helping other entrepreneurs tackle everything from crafting a business vision to researching speaking gigs. Definitely got to hear about that. They love helping people get out of their own way and build that business they set out to build. A sales expert, Donnie created his first business at 40, and with the help of a top 200 podcast, coaching business, and a fast-growing Facebook group, quickly built a successful business. Laura, an 8-time published author, helps fellow healthcare practitioners take their businesses to the next level. Together, they've written Your High Vibe Business, a strategic workbook for badass entrepreneurial success. There it is. There it is. Definitely. Got to have the visuals. So, yes. Laura and Donnie, welcome to the podcast. Is there anything either of you want to add to your bio there?
Oh, I don't know.
She's a hell of a lot better looking than I am. Does that count?
Oh, my goodness.
It definitely counts, especially when your voice you're speaking and the camera shifts to you.
No, I think, a couple things to note. Laura's got her own podcast that does extremely well. She's got a background in the healing and healthcare world and space. An amazing poet. We don't talk about that enough. She does and performs live poetry on stages. So she's got a really, really cool background. For me, I'm a former Marine, so if profanity comes out of my mouth, guys, be forewarned. It's going to happen. Things just fly out, especially the more passionate I get, and this is really a case of two people that became friends. And, we both run our own businesses, but came together on this idea to take all this knowledge and stuff that we've learned and to be able to kind of give back and teach others how they can really, really go for it. It's all the stuff we kind of wish we had when we started out. That was our goal of putting this whole thing together.
Definitely. Well said, my friend.
Excellent. I appreciate your service there, Donnie. Definitely.
Oh, my honor, man. My honor.
Excellent.
I only ever say it not for the accolades, just to let people know I'm going to cuss. And that usually is kind of my get out of jail free card. Like, right, he's a Marine. It's fine.
Absolutely. So let's get it started off here. Easy question, simple question there. What are you all reading now? What are you reading now?
Ooh, good question. What are you reading, Donnie?
I right now I'm so consumed with podcasts that I'm actually not reading at the moment. Because with running a international business, with doing all the stuff with Laura and everything that we've got going on, so now I've got 2 podcasts, a huge conference that we're working towards, a lot of speaking, webinars, everything else.
Dude, you're so trying to get out of this question.
You like that? I totally went around it.
You are so trying to get out of this question. Come on.
But no, it really comes down to all I'm doing is consuming podcasts. I'm not reading any books at the moment, which is unusual because I grew up so inundated with books. Even to the point of old sales manager saying, if Donnie's not working the phone, he's got his face in a book, because I was consumed with knowledge. But as time got faster and faster, I didn't read as much. I was Googling through podcasts to find episodes based on the things I wanted to learn. All right, Laura, what are you reading?
Listen, I'm audibling right now.
Oh, okay. And so not reading either. She's listening.
Well, I do a little bit of both things, but Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, like if you hand me a book on mindset, I don't know, or if you say a title about mindset, I've probably read it already. And then everything. Yeah, you got it. That one. And I'm on my second listen through because there were so many golden nuggets. I don't mostly do it when I'm driving, but like I'm also a note taker. So like
that's not safe practice.
I know, you can't do it in the car. And I'm also listening to Everything is Figure Outable. Marie Forleo.
Oh, Marie. Love
yeah.
Marie Forleo.
She's been a business mentor of mine since I started the B School with her. I took her Copy Cure course. And so, yeah, I always have like 2 or 3 audibles going.
Excellent. We definitely have both of those in the show notes. I have Marie's book. I definitely got it on pre-order when it came out. Nice. I love me some Marie. And I haven't opened it yet. But I have it.
It's good.
If you were to ask which books probably did the most impact on our lives, I bet you get a whole different thing. Because for me, it's Think and Grow Rich was the one that got me into self-help world. But the one that got me to transition from working for others to on my own was Jen Sincero, You're a Badass at Making Money.
Yes. Dude.
I love that book also.
She all right, so the whole badass and talking about the world and just like she makes this
classy
element I'm like, I don't even know how to say this. Like it's this spiritual stuff, but it's she makes woo-woo not sound woo-woo, she makes it sound cool.
Yep, I agree with that. I agree. And it's funny because she has that way of I don't give a shit attitude that hits to the heart of what we were all kind of hoping for, somebody to break loose in this space and go, dude, this is what I'm trying to tell you, but in our language, in our terms.
I find it amusing that 2 guys are loving her book and like her whole branding, because like if you talked about it for a minute, you'd assume that her ideal client was a female, but
it is.
I don't know. Yeah,
but that goes to the point of having that ideal client, right? If you know what your ideal client is, your message gets so clear in the marketplace. She knew who she was doing. She does target women. That's her audience. But because her brand, her story is so clear, it picks up guys like me, picks up guys like Fortune. We'll get into it too, because her message is so damn clear, speaking to who she's trying to get to. She gets to everybody.
And you guys want to know the most transformational book you will ever read?
What is that?
The one you write.
There we go. She's right.
I know. I absolutely believe in that. And that's part of one of the why I included one of the questions there towards the end. Matter of fact, I can ask it right now before we even get into the rest of them. One of the questions that I ask is, what have you learned from your writing process?
Oh, let me take this wing.
Go ahead.
Here's why. So I've never been a writer in my life. I mean, writing a paragraph was a lot of work for me. When Laura approached me and said, hey, we've got to do a book together, my first thought was, yes. Oh, shit, what did I just commit to? And, dude, I kid you not. So we wrote that Your High Vibe workbook in 2 weeks. Correction. She wrote it in a week. I just wouldn't let her beat me so much. So I wrote the other half, wrote my half of the book in 2 weeks. I can tell you from 2 profound things. One, this girl is a badass and a machine when it comes to getting people to produce books. She walked me through a process that broke down the outline step by step, and then she just did everything she told me to do, and I had no choice but to keep up or look like a jackass for not holding up my side of the bargain.
Little competition factor there. Yeah, I know.
A lot of competition factor in which you completely kicked my ass, you know. But I think two things that I learned through that process, and Laura says this all the time, everybody has a book inside them.
Totally.
Everybody has a book inside. And if you have a coach or a guide, someone like a Laura in your corner that can help you take the thoughts out of your head, put them in a very logical format and lay them out, man, it was, I wrote, I don't know, 30, 40,000 words, 20,000 words in that process with Laura. And I've never put that much ink on paper. And I know we were typing, but you know, it was amazing how much that, given a particular topic, I could literally go, okay, here's my thoughts, and type them out, and they just float.
And that's because you teach it every day, and that information was just so easy for you to convey that way. And, you know, we've gone through so many different ways of making that process easy, because the thought of it can overwhelm people. But if you don't mind, Fortune, I've got a great story about that.
No, go ahead.
Because I've been in my journals writing since I was 15. And there was one day where I decided, okay, it's time to get that book out of me. And so the story goes, you know, I'm a physical therapist and I have had a healing career for a long time. But when my son was 5.5, we were looking for something for him to do, like activity wise. And so we ended up at a Taekwondo class together. And we were, so I am a 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo now, but
so she can kick my ass.
Exactly, anybody's ass who needs the kicking, mostly to write your book, but you know.
That's true.
But we came out of that class, we were just observing that day, you know, and he's like tiny and he's looking up at me and I'm looking down at him. I'm like, so what do you think? You want to do this? And he looks up at me, he's like, well, I'll do it if you do it. And 6 years later, we earned our black belts together. And so thank you for that applause. It was an incredible journey. But the point being about the book was that I was an avid journaler for those entire 6 years. And when I decided to actually tell my stories for the first time in the book form, I realized they had been written in those journals already. And all I had to really do was go there and pull out the stories I wanted to share with people. And then, like, you know, Donnie, I teach certain things all day long. That part of the writing was very easy. So if anybody loves journaling or they love blogging, y'all have probably multiple books in you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I thank you for that. And I love the martial arts. I love the discipline that comes there. But a lot, the idea that you're laying out here is something that I continue to talk to my authors about when I'm actually helping them work with them, when I'm not doing it for them, but when I'm working with them to write their own books. Is like, look, it's a simple process. We're not trying to go out and do all the extra research right now.
Yeah.
I need to get what's in your head onto paper. And it's as simple as, let's get us an outline that you can just speak from.
Totally.
Or write from.
And that outline was everything for me, because literally I knew each day what I was supposed to write. So Laura would send me a message. She goes, okay, I've finished chapters 1 through 16. No, it was usually like 3 or 4 chapters at a time. Let me know when you're done with yours. So trust me, that was our 2 weeks worth of conversations. But it was so laid out that I knew specifically what to write each day, and that just made life so much easier to put the words. And she just gave me a word count, and having that word count was the second thing that made it really, really easy, because sometimes, you know, I knew that she would help clean it up on the back end, so I just wrote to get to the word count, which really helped with the flow side of things.
And
absolutely.
Listen, you know, the reason this is such a transformational process for people is that there's healing in the writing. There's healing in the sharing of the story. there's healing in the publishing piece when you've become the warrior and you're like, okay, the world is gonna read this. What now? You know, like it takes a warrior to do this and to really like decide to be vulnerable in the stories, authentic in the stories, and then actually hit publish and get it out there.
Excellent. Donnie, I want to follow up to this, and I definitely want to hear from you too, Laura. But I don't want you to give him any ideas.
Okay.
But
Try not to.
First and foremost, I'm glad you got your numbers out, hit the numbers that she set out for you, because she might have had you do a push up for every number you miss. On the knuckles.
Right.
But no, Donnie, outside of the understanding the writing process, what else have you learned, like about yourself, about maybe your family or things, what else outside of the writing process and understanding how to be more creative and get those ideas out of your head? What else have you learned from the writing process?
You know, I think for me that one, that I had a story. I've always known I had a story. I've been on several stages, you know, podcasts, my own shows and everything else. But I think that well, in truth, the biggest thing is, besides the stories, is I could write. You know, I had this huge mind block that, you know, I was a guy in high school that the teachers passed on because they didn't want me back the next year. And they would tell me regularly, like, you know, hey, you're passing this grade because we're not getting you back.
Wow.
And so when I went to the Marine Corps, there's no, let's teach you how to write better, you know. So I didn't pay attention in high school. I didn't pay attention, you know, in the Marine Corps. When I got to corporate America, I caught hell from a lot of people because they didn't like that I didn't use commas and grammar. And, you know, so it's one of the reasons I kind of went to the sales direction, because you didn't have to do a whole lot of writing.
You know how to add commas and zeros on the checks.
Yeah, exactly right. Right. Oh, you got a check? I'll take that. Right. You know, but nobody, you know, spent the time to convince me I could write. I mean, they sent me to writing classes sometimes that it just didn't make sense because it was all intellectual in nature. When you try and teach somebody to write from an intellectual standpoint, especially when they're seasoned, it's never going to work. So I think for me, when Laura kind of laid out this process, it really allowed me to go, for once in my life, oh shit, I can actually do this. You know, I can actually take the thoughts out of my head. I had a security blanket knowing she was going to clean up the words, you know, so all I had to do is get pretty damn close. And we got a running joke about run-on sentences, but that's another story. But you know, it's the really having somebody else have the faith in you in the process. One that says, hey, keep up in a fun, loving, joking manner. But two, knowing that you got somebody sitting behind you that's going to clean up those grammatical errors, because I think that holds a lot of people back from writing is, I suck at it, so therefore I'm not going to do it, which is a lot of my case. You know, and you know, you can get every program in the world to try and help you with writing, but unless somebody else is physically touching it, it's never going to be 100% clean. And I think she gave me kind of the confidence behind it all to put all these words on paper. And that's, you know, been profound in everything that I do now. And I'm a lot more cautious on social media, even though people laugh a lot of times at my posts, because I'm like the biggest grammar Nazi's nightmare in the world, because commas and periods are just overrated.
So, but I heard this little bar that was dropped in here right from the beginning, and I want you to understand, son. Yeah, that's it. I got to break it in there. I had to break it in. But no, realize, because as you're speaking, speaking about this idea of believing in yourself enough, and in the beginning, actually having to have someone believe in you.
Yes.
You could get that story out, and then eventually you start having a belief in yourself, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm doing this. I can do this.
Yeah.
And then also acknowledging that you had someone that's going to help you make it round it out, make it smooth, and make it better, to improve it, the hands-on. And I think that also speaks to not only what I do as a book consultant, but also in the business that you guys have yourselves, where you're helping someone else that doesn't believe that they can really build this business to the next level. And now they have someone like you, like the two of you, to come in that says, this is what you need to do. Go mess up, and I'll show you how to fix it. And, you know, and continue to have that strength with somebody behind me. Like, I'm just going to go at it. I'm going to go after it. And I know someone's going to help me improve what I'm doing. But Laura, pass on to you. What is for you, what is that for you, what is that? What have you learned from that writing process outside of, improving on your writing?
That she could teach a Marine to write. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Your words.
I didn't think it was possible. No, by far the biggest thing for me is that that fear of not good enough is totally boring at this point to me. And I realized that one day when somebody, caught up to me and said, "Hey, I read that thing you wrote and it really helped me. Like, can you help me out and send me some more," or whatever it was. And I realized right then that kind of fear was just boring. Like, I could actually change someone's life if I would just get brave and put those words out loud. And that drives my writing every single day.
Excellent.
So yeah,
Excellent.
that was big
Love
for
that.
me.
Love that. So now, speaking about your business, I always touched on it a second there, but just tell TFP family, tell us about your business, and of course, more importantly, why you each do what you do.
So that's fun. Well, for me, everybody looks at me as more the business development guy. I mean, that's my background. I spent 20 years in the sales game before I finally bet on myself and started my own company. So I started originally with a brand called Success Champions. Name of the podcast, name of my Facebook groups, name of my magazine that we have out, and met Laura through that journey, and I'll let her tell her background and all. But for me, I just wanted to really help people unleash. Everybody's got that badass inside of them, and I really wanted to create a platform where people could step into their own and chase their business dreams and really get after it. There's, only a couple people in life. There's people that are carving the trail. There's people that are following the trail. And then there's people that are choosing not to get on the trail. And, Laura and myself have always been path carvers. And what I think made it special for the two of us coming together and what we do was nobody was teaching us the business side of things. Nobody was teaching us the sales conversations, the mindset battles. Everybody was kind of, playing with the hype of you should be an entrepreneur, you should start a business, which is all fun and fine and dandy. But if you're just out there banging your head against the wall, which is a lot of what Laura and I did through our journeys, then it's very hard to find success or find other like-minded people that are going through the same process. So I think that's what brought us together was, can we create a community of people that are all going for it, all coming together and learn through the successes and failures, while Laura and I teach maybe the shortcuts, but really the things that we've gone through to give them, a path to follow in a safe environment where, hey, you got questions, ask. When you got problems, ask. If you're just in your head too much, let's get you out of that, type scenario. Laura?
At some point we realized that we were serving the same person.
Yeah.
And that we also were both very sort of unapologetic about the high vibe. I mean, that's why that's in the title of what we do. Your high vibe business means something to us. We're unapologetically positive. High vibe mindset mastery is what we are passionate about. And as soon as we came together, we instantly had this partner who would hold the other accountable to all of that. Like, you can do that for yourself. Hopefully everybody does that for themselves. But when you have someone else doing it with you, it makes it way more fun, first of all.
Absolutely.
And way more successful, because you don't want to let the other person down, but and you don't want to let yourself down either. But as Donnie and I have talked about this before, it's rare for me to find like, don't you guys, you get to a point in your career like, damn, if I could just find another me, I'd be golden. Right. Like same values, same energetic, same, right? And so when I met Donnie, it was
as good looking. I mean, you might as well throw that out.
Well, there it is.
Whatever. But that happened. I finally found someone who would run as fast as me.
And that's what we always say.
Yeah. And it really got interesting very, very quickly at that point. And my, Brave Healer Productions, I serve fellow healers. I use the word healer to mean healthcare practitioner all the way to life coach and energy practitioner. I mean, I do put a toe into the woo-woo side of things because I think holistic healing is the way to serve somebody fully, authentically, right? So I've dabbled in lots of different kinds of healing modalities, and I've basically heard it all when it comes to that world. But we wanted to both serve people who were really in this to help other people, and that became a ripple that we both got behind.
Yeah, and I think to add into that is there's a lot of people that have a good message, have a good story. They have this really passionate to bring their energy, their healing, their business, their story, their whatever they're doing to the marketplace. And, they're sitting in frustration going, God, I'm good at this. If people would just see my message, see my brand, hear my story, that this whole thing would break loose. And that's the side of things we're bringing to the table. This is how you get your story heard. This is how you get your message out there. This is how you get your brand so people want to engage with you. Because once again, nobody was teaching us this stuff. Nobody showed us the ropes. And it's funny, as a lot of Laura and I's conversations, as we bounced a lot of ideas, we came from a very similar path to get where we got to, where we are. And that was a lot of banging our heads against the wall. And so it goes back to, we really wanted that environment where people could have that environment of asking questions and going through it. I mean, it's been a lot of fun putting the two of us together doing this.
Excellent. I love that. And I know for myself, I'm still looking for that person to run with. Cause I've tried this whole, like, you know what you could do for me, like, and trying to pull somebody up to do it. But even if you're going to give somebody the opportunity, they still, as I've learned now, more recently, even if I'm going to give them the opportunity, they still need to have the drive already. And you're just guiding that drive.
Yes.
But I've tried to put stuff on people, and then I was like,
we all learn
on you. You're not ready.
yeah. I mean, we all go through that, and actually, it's funny. We just talked about this this morning, Laura. Yeah, I think it was this morning. We were talking about.
Might have been today.
We do so many things, but talking about how you handle the whole outsourcing and finding the right people. And the one common thing you've got to have is if you're partner up with somebody, they've got to run as hard as you run, right? And if they're not willing to run as hard as you run, then you assign them specific tasks. Don't bring them into like what Laura and I are doing, right? Because Laura and I, we both set a task, and she'll break out her paper calendar. We just got her to technology, so I'm busting her chops. She just for the first time got a digital calendar. But
listen, it's on the phone now. I swear, it's on the phone.
Hey, don't be mad, Laura. I do both of them. I write it down.
Thank you.
I need to see it and feel it, and then like, all right, I gotta do that now.
See, I'm not the only one.
Laura and I both know that if any given task, if it's assigned to either one of us, it's going to get done, right? Because we're both running so damn hard that I think a lot of people would play hard to keep up with the two of us if they were, inside here seeing everything that we're doing, keeping all this running and gunning. And I think that's key for people is don't go find people that can just fill a hole for you. Go find somebody running as hard as you are and then bring them on as part of your team, because that's a game changer. You don't want to be teaching in that moment, hey, here's how you do your, passion. What you want is somebody that you can give guidance to, and they bring their passion to the table. They're like, cool, got it. Here's what it is. Now let me add to that. Right.
Wow, that's a nice little bar, man. Y'all keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
That's a different.
No, I mean, because it's so true for the small business owner that's still trying to figure this whole thing out. Especially like myself, I'm trying to get to the point where I can start stepping away, and I have a system. Of a process. I know I can teach it. I know how to teach it to other people. But it's like, I got to find that one that's like, no, I want to go. At least that relieves some of the pressure from me, and I can start finding other pieces as I go along. And I just this past week, that's true about strategic partnerships. So that's kind of what I'm hearing. Talking about.
That's it. That's what I think. I think it's you find also this complementary piece. We both run hard, and we both stay accountable to the tasks, and we complement each other in ways that just make it a bigger thing. 1 and 1 don't make 2 in this case. It makes 4 or whatever. Donnie has skills, I have skills, and when we came to the table together, everything just blew up even better because of that.
I mean, for instance, we knew we hit the magic tone when we launched a pay-to-play, Facebook group called Your High Vibe Business, and we instantly went to 50 members. Okay. Right. We knew we had the right message. We had the right platform. We had the right, combination of things, and we had what people were looking for all along. And we also kind of had our followings as well. They're like, oh my God, these two are partnered up. Hold my beer and watch this stuff because it's about to get crazy. Because, people are always watching what you do. You may be saying the words and things may be coming out of your mouth, but people are watching your actions. Well, people can see at all times that Laura and I are living everything we're teaching, right? They're watching our businesses. They're watching us get on stages. They're watching us get on podcasts. They're watching us grow this, all the other business and stuff. So they get to see everything we teach in a real life moment. And I think that's what's helped this thing take off to the level it has, and getting invited on podcasts and things like this together, because
that's what makes it high vibe in the first place.
I was just about to ask in my mind, what is define high vibe business for us?
As a healer, we could go in a lot of directions, and literally you talk about books I've been fascinated by, the ones that are teaching the brain science of this, you guys, like, it's not woo-woo anymore. It is like real stuff that you can grab onto that basically will teach you why positivity is going to set you up for manifesting everything you want in your life. That high vibe, the actual energetic vibration you set up in your mind body matters. And so that's why mindset is so important, and why we talk about it every week on our little, what the heck do we call
Mindset
it?
Mondays.
Monday.
Well, and here's the fun thing is we are the extreme high vibe. How do you keep your energy up? How do you keep your mindset right? But we're also about, you got to do the work. Right? You can tell yourself, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm awesome. But unless you take the actions towards that awesome, whatever it is, you can say I'm a badass. You can say I'm going to grow $1 million business. You can tell yourself all these things. But as Laura always says, it's that aligned action that makes everything work. So if your mindset's not right, or you're not taking the actions, then you're not going anywhere. So it's about having this pure badass vision that has got you lit to set the world on fire. And then you start taking those aligned actions that go along with it that are so extreme and amazing that you're lifting others up as you go, and you're lighting their damn fires as well. And they want to run with you.
And people want to know what do you mean aligned? Like, how do I know? But that's also like a vibrational thing. Like, listen, it could be as easy as, does this feel really great to you? Or does this feel like crap to you? Are you feeling purpose-driven kind of fear? Or are you just feeling like this is a hell no? Marie Forleo does that hell yes, hell no thing. Like, is this a hell yes, or is it a hell no? But when you get good at differentiating, that feeling becomes your compass, and that's how you align. That's how you take that next action step that we're talking about. My middle name is Action Taker. It has been ever since, I don't know when. Like, I think I was born that way.
Well, and most people know the actions they should be taking in their business. They know they should be doing the reach outs. They know they should be having the conversations, going to the conventions, going to the networking, doing all this stuff, but it feels creepy because it's so out of their norm. It's not the creepiness, it's the something new. And we know for a fact, and I always call it, you got to go get punched in the face by life. You've got to put yourself out there to go fail forward, fail better inside that action, because it becomes an aligned action. Because when you get comfortable with the uncomfortable, then it's right. And then you can continue to do that, level up your business, and get to that business freedom you've been aiming for in the first place. I mean, that's the only reason we all started a business. is one, we're unemployable because nobody else wants to hire our butts, right? And two, nobody wants to go through the discipline of somebody else, telling us what to do. So if you're going to get in this thing and you're going to run a business, you better find a pair of people that are going to show you the ropes to get after it so you can really grow and make this thing what you set it out to be in the first place. Because otherwise you're going to spin and do what we call misery stacking, which is, you start going south. Hey, this isn't working. This isn't, what I want to be. It feels like crap, and, one time during Laura and I's podcast, we came up with a phrase to change misery stacking into joy stacking. And what you should really be doing is seeking those joys in your life, seeking those moments, and start compounding those moments so you can really, really get after it. Laura can speak more to joy stacking. This is fun.
And you can tell we're excited about this topic, right?
Absolutely. I'm over here taking notes.
The enthusiasm is also seriously high vibe, and that is contagious. And there's a point where I just had to give myself permission to be all that. I had a coach tell me once, Laura, it takes some stamina to roll with you. And at first I took it as this terrible, cut down, but then I really realized it was a compliment. Like if I could finally get to the place where I could just be that super enthusiastic person, it was a good thing. Absolutely. But yeah, this is a great mindset. Donnie and I could talk about mindset all day long. It's important.
No, I absolutely believe in the power of mindset. I mean, that my first book was the basis of that first book. And now I'm talking about aligning my attitudes and my beliefs and my commitments towards a personal mission. So yes. I definitely agree with you in there.
Nice.
But question here, the question I want to ask is that,
all right, y'all, we're about halfway through today's show, and I want to give you a quick word from our sponsor before we get back to the interview with Laura and Donnie. Today's show is sponsored by Thought Fortune Press. You probably know that if you're not an authority in your industry, nobody's hearing your message. And you may know that the number one way to build your authority is by authoring a book. What you probably don't know is that you can write the manuscript for your book in less than 4 hours. I'm D. Orlando Fortune, the lead self-publishing strategist for Thought Fortune Press, where we turn your ideas into a branded book that brings in the cash by sharing your unique message and positioning you as an authority in your industry. If you're an entrepreneur or a speaker who's thinking about already writing or want to publish your next book, but you don't want to write it, or you just want to get help getting it done, your first step is a Wealthy Author Roadmap. This is a call to help us get to the heart of what you do for your customers. Together, we'll determine how a book will help you establish more credibility in your customers' minds and make a bigger impact in their lives, while also, of course, increasing your revenues. During the call, we'll walk you through designing your book's outline and its content and create a publishing timeline that fits your goals, even if that means getting it done in as little as 90 days. What makes us different is that we know a book is only the first step into your world. Not only do we help you write the book, but we work with you on creating a signature suite of products, all from your book's one outline. We do all of this using the 5 phases of our proprietary system, the Signature Book Formula. To get started on your personalized Wealthy Author Roadmap, go to thoughtfortunepress.com and click the gold Start Here button at the top of the page. Now remember, you're only one book away. So let us at Thought Fortune Press guide you to becoming an author. Go to thoughtfortunepress.com today. So let's get back to the tips and picking up the interview right where we left off with it before we had our word from our sponsor.
So I have a good mentor that's taught me to follow good, orderly direction. Okay. People have a problem saying God, so it says call it good, orderly direction.
I like that.
They want to follow it. Right?
I like that.
So the thing is, when we're, as you said, you start discerning, and what I'm hearing when you're talking about discerning what I'm supposed to do next. What's the high vibe thing? What's in alignment with my high energy and the vibe I'm supposed to be in? Walking towards what's my passion is, my purpose is. Sometimes in the beginning, we're not going to understand that voice. So,
True.
or what that is. What would you say to the individual who's trying to listen and trying to discern, but not sure which way to go?
Listen,
Take action.
everything. Yeah. I mean, it's all action taking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, action taking is the thing. Like, Donnie and I say a lot that mistakes and failures don't really exist in our world. Those are stepping stones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's say you didn't know if you were aligned or not in the next
Mm-hmm.
step you wanted to take. Who gives a F? Like,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's in taking the action that you will get the clarity you're craving for the next step.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we always say it this way. It's never about overcoming the fear. It's about who you become going through it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Is because the person you are right now is not the person you need to become to get where you want to go. You've got to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mere fact of taking the action that forces you to evolve to that next level.
Love it.
Right? Because when you first start a business, none of us knew what the hell we were doing. Like, okay, cool, let's start a business. I'm gonna build a website and I'm be a millionaire tomorrow. Right? I mean, that's kind of what's all going through our damn heads. And it's not until you're a week into that business going, oh shit, I have no money coming in, that you're like, okay, now I've got to get to work and figure this whole thing out. And it's through trial and error. It's through the whole idea of failing better, and failing on purpose to put yourself in a spot to scale and grow and get where you want to go.
Excellent.
But there's a piece of it though that you're asking is like, how can somebody really understand and discern? And I think that is really, really important. And the physical therapist in me is going to talk for a minute. You have to practice the awareness. You have to practice the ability to feel both physical sensation and observing the thoughts. Awareness has to do with watching yourself. Both what you're feeling and sensing and emoting and thinking and believing, and then the behavior that's a result of all of those things. So if you're all caught up in it and you're not paying attention and you're constantly feeling triggered and reacting all day long, that's not high vibe, man. So like, you got to take a step back and take a breath and like really feel what feels good to you. And it can have, that excited, like call it purpose-driven fear, can feel that scary feeling, but there's way more excitement in that kind of feel than, let's say, the true survival kind of sensation that we all need to survive. We need to know when we need to get out of the dark alley, but the awareness is foundational for all of this. And Donnie and I have had good arguments about, is it the awareness or the action? And of course I know it's both, but if you're not feeling it or paying attention and observing it, it's tough to take the actions. You're just not being conscious about it. So aligned means conscious. Aligned means feeling into that next action and then just doing it. Not being worried if you make the mistake. You got to feel it. You got to go for it. It's they kind of happen at the same time, I think.
And I think this is what you're hearing from the two of us. This is what we do on a regular basis, is we take these scary ideas of like sales, business development, speaking on stages, we're getting on podcast, and we break them down so they're not so creepy. We put them in real world scenarios, things that you can understand so you can actually grow and scale your business. Because people have to start wrapping their head around that them as individuals is not scalable. So you have to go through this stuff and really look at your business as a business development tool to be able to get it to where you want to go. And that's what we're doing is breaking this down into a mind-centered, action ass-kicking way that allows you to get where you want to go.
Absolutely. Excellent. Okay, so when did this book come out? Just wanted to confirm the joy. your
Yes.
your high vibe business. Right now I'm thinking about joy stacking.
Joy stacking.
stacking.
That's going to be our next book, by the way.
It is. We need to be writing that right now, you know. No, this
Oh,
is
God, don't tell me that, because you'll have me write it in a week and a half. That's 2 weeks was, not fast enough.
No, the workbook is brand new, and I want to just emphasize it's November is when it came out, just last month, and I don't know when this will air, but just November of 19. And I want to just emphasize that it's a practical workbook. So we are telling some really awesome, authentic stories about our own business lives, but then we're giving you tools and then having you do, whatever that exercise is, you can just do it right in the book. And we'll take you through exercises in 16 different ways in all those chapters and different topics. So Donnie's looking it up right now.
Yeah.
Just to show you, you'll see on the inside of the book, lots of places to write, things to do, stuff to write down, reflection, creation, strategy. It's all in there.
Well, there was one person did a really cool write-up in here, and one of the things they said, oh, there it is. With this dynamic of offers, the workbook is a great resource from getting a strong hold on your business vision and turn into a success. So it's not just a book you pick up and read. I mean, we every chapter is, you get my perspective and Laura's perspective and the workbook behind it. So it allows you to hear kind of two sides of it, so you can get a different perspective. And one of my favorite chapters in there is the one we did on sales, because you'll hear our authentic message when Laura writes in there, hey, I wait for Donnie to write his chapter first so I can write my chapter. That's how we show up everywhere, and it's you're going to see us, get authentic, in everything we do. We do Mindset Mondays, and literally 2 seconds before we go live, we're like, hey, what do you want to talk about today? And because we just live, eat, and breathe this stuff on a regular basis, we just flow. And that magic comes out. Now we do scheduled full-on trainings and workshops and webinars and everything, but every Monday we go to get people set up for their week, and the topics vary, but it's always focused on mindset until somebody throws in, like this morning we talked on, how to outsource, how to find a VA, inside of keeping momentum in your business, so it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm looking at this, the chapter that says make a customer, not a sale. That's definitely key ideas there to writing your to building your business, because I'm of the opinion that I like to keep people long term. Even when I dealt with when I had my rental properties, I prefer to keep the tenant in there, teach them how to be a good tenant for me, and that way I don't have to show up. Like, I don't need to be coming. I don't need to come over anymore if I make you into a long-term customer, in such that you love my family, you love my moms, you love us, because we're not these. We dealt with Section 8 tenants, so it's like we didn't make sure we were not the slumlords that most people think about when you deal with Section 8 tenants. But I mean, we have tenants when we were selling our property, it was like, no, like they were mad. Because my mom and I were like, literally, my mom was literally the type of woman that she taught me these properties that I don't care if I wouldn't live in there, I'm not renting it to them. So she would literally be in the corners, scrubbing corners of the baseboards and so forth before we moved to the new tenant, because it wasn't up to her standard. So that's the type of stuff that keeps people wanting to come back, that caring and loving and knowing that I'm trying to do this, not just to make money, because I want you to be here and I actually care about you.
Yeah, Donnie, you were just talking about that this morning, because I was saying, hey, we were taught not to make friends out of our customers, and you were telling me, yeah, that's an old corporate mentality. I mean, healers like to make friends. Like most all of my best clients have become friends. And them knowing I care like that is part of the reason they stick around.
Yeah, it was funny because when I first got into sales, it was, don't befriend your clients. And, I was doing hundreds of thousands, $250,000 deals at that point. And all of my business at that level became transactional. I wasn't keeping them long-term. I wasn't keeping them around because my job was just go get the deal done.
Yeah.
And once I started wrapping my head around, hey, people buy from people, it changed, and these $250,000 deals turned into multi-million-dollar deals because
Wow.
now it was about creating these relationships, and it wasn't Sally who happened to buy all the printing for Mary Kay. It was a Sally who's a mother of 3, her husband's Jim. They like to go on vacations, and you really get to know them, and you go have cocktails, and they almost become family. Then real business happens.
Well, that's a little bar. I got excited. Because people like that's just the way my mom. My mom modeled stuff like that. Not even being in entrepreneurship, but just modeled it. And that, like just this past weekend, being at an event this weekend, a close event on being better at closing from stage or wherever, but. By the end of the weekend, like I know that I'm out here having whole conversations for an hour or whatever with the gentlemen that are taking the valet men. Like I know their business, I know they're doing. The gentleman's going out here doing Muay Thai. And I'm looking at him like, you do Muay Thai? He's like, I love it. He's like, I'm hearing all this stuff, but that's just who I am. And because I know they matter. I'm the type of guy that'll tell somebody. Just because, and the first time I did it kind of freaked me out too, because I like to go to the grocery store either real early in the morning or real late at night. It's just people to be there.
Smart man.
I mean, going to Walmart and someone's stocking, I just tell them you're doing a great job. Like, hey man, I want to tell you, hey John, and I'm like, hey John, you're doing a fantastic job, and just walk off. Because that's the type of thing that people don't hear that to be noticed and loved in all those respects. Right? So
that's an interesting perspective, and I think more people should say you're proud of somebody if you really are. I said I was proud of somebody in our group the other day, and she put this long comment back, and she goes, Donnie, that almost made me tear up. She goes, my parents passed away a long time ago,
wow.
and since then, nobody's ever told me they were proud of them. And I think that's a really key point, that when you genuinely pay somebody a true, thoughtful compliment like that, it goes a hell of a long way, because we truly don't hear it, one, often enough, or ever at all.
So true.
So so the book is out. Are we already starting to leverage the book beforehand, afterwards, to get on more stages?
Well, we're here.
The question, I know it's kind of early, so I know it's moving as far as it's going to go, but you're starting to build momentum. But how are you using this book now to start help grow your business?
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to mention, it's really through the book and the podcast where we're inviting people into our world and teaching them something. And then through those 2 avenues together, hopefully, people will realize, believe me, they'll be very clear that we have a paid mastermind that, is a result of those 2 things. But we do a heck of a lot of teaching in both the book and the podcast. And so they're wonderful ways to get into our world. And that's really, I think that's how we're doing that. You got more to add to that?
Yeah. I would add in there that never before has a crazy, more dynamic duo been put together of a gal who run a very successful physical therapy practice, does professional poetry, does a lot of woo-woo stuff, partnered up with a marine sales guy, combination to come together to bring our work. And I love telling people I'm not full woo-woo. I just got 1 foot into woo. So I'm just woo. But bringing that dynamic together, she doesn't hate that, but she cracks me up every time. But it's bringing that dynamics together that is starting to get us more traction and more exposure. We're getting on more podcasts. We're getting on, more stage opportunities, all the way out there. We're looking for plenty more to get on. We're looking for more podcasts to get on, because I think it is such a dynamic, 1-2 punch. I think a lot of times Laura is interpreting, what I'm teaching to allow people to understand, where I'm coming from and how this applies in their world. And I think that's the fun dynamics. And, we talked about this the other day, even like on our podcast, a lot of times Laura's asking me questions to understand how to apply some of the things that I'm teaching in her world, in her business. And I think that particular dynamic makes it much more of an authentic style podcast of, this is real. Well, this is in the moment, in the heartfelt conversations that people are hearing the responses to the questions they would love to be asking in that moment. And we're trying to create that environment that they can hear it on the podcast, they can read it in a workbook, because in the group, we're bringing guests, that are members of that group on. We're doing live interviews with them, live coaching sessions with them in the group. We're
Like
breaking down kind of like a hot seat. Yeah. And we're breaking down, things they can do and apply in their business. And every time we've done that, that person has seen exponential growth, because they get two badass perspectives from both of us that are really truly pouring love into them, their business, their message, and what they're trying to do. I mean, that's this whole thing. And we really feel like we're on the cusp. And what I mean by that is this thing is so close to just completely breaking loose. Because of the time, the effort, the energy, and everything else we're putting into this, that the message is just being accepted everywhere we go, and people are just embracing what we're doing, and it's becoming a hell of a lot of fun.
Yes.
Excellent.
Agreed.
Excellent. So before we go into some of the, I hear it, so let's throw this in, is make sure I understand there is a mastermind element to the back end, because that's definitely something I want to make sure we understand.
Absolutely.
We're going from a book, the podcast, speaking engagement, that comes to a back end product, because a lot of people come in thinking that the book, I'm like, oh, there's money with the book. Like, no, that's, you might,
your
but
book
it's not.
your book is your business card on steroids, you guys. So like, because we did a workbook, I think that got amped up a notch even. It's not, it's not just our stories. We're doing something else with that. And yeah, you could say, well, your book is a product. You might make money from your book or whatever, but do you know how many books you need to sell to make money on your book? Like, that's not why we're writing books. We want people to have an easy access way, maybe a low cost way to get into our world and learn something. But we are hoping that book, that by reading, you read a couple stories in the book and you're like, damn, we need to have those two speak on our stage, or hey, we need to have those people on the podcast. That's a great way to look at sales or whatever the topic is. But I think a lot of people, they want to write the New York Times bestseller and they want to retire on the proceeds from the whatever book. And I'm not going to take that reality or possibility from you. But as a business owner, your book positions you as an expert, and it makes you an authority, and it leads to whatever other possibilities there are, to build your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So before we get into some more of some of the fun questions there towards the end,
those weren't fun.
Oh, I didn't know. I hated every minute of it. It was horrible. What the hell are we doing here? I call
it fun because I get to know more about you personally. And I'm a nerd about, so you'll find out the last questions. But before we get into that, I want to make sure we take the audience to the TFB family who walks away with some tangible steps on the principles you guys are speaking about. So if you want, maybe if you want to do both of them, do both questions, or one do one question, one do the other. The one is, what can someone do this week to start opening up to building this high vibe business, or improving in a high vibe business? And then what will be a long-term strategy, maybe not 90 days, 6 months down the road, that they're going to continue working on?
Why don't I take the first one, you take the second one?
Okay.
All right. So the biggest thing anybody can do in their business is, everybody's always hung up on this idea of what's your why. Get rid of the why and start building a massive freaking vision. Right. I have this huge idea of Laura and I on massive stages in front of massive crowds, changing and impacting lives. Everything we're doing is building towards those huge stages of where we're bringing people in from all over the world. But it's having that massive vision that excites you and lights you up. When you ask somebody what their why is, they're always immediately like, I have no idea. I want to, world peace, world hunger, right? It's too
tell you what they think they need to tell you.
Yeah, absolutely, right? But it's never, where are they going? And I think that's the big key with your vision is, what are you creating? Where are you going? Where's all this heading? And you really start wrapping your head around that, because once you have that vision, man, that thing will light you up. It's going to wake you out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're going to get ideas. I mean, Laura and I are constantly sending messages back and forth. Ooh, what do you about this? What do you think about this? And that's kind of that, having two people with the same aligned vision is pretty badass. But it's having this monstrous vision. And then we'll talk about goal setting another time, because that's another whole fun conversation with me. But really get that vision of, where are you going? Where are people going to see you? And what's that impact you're leaving on this world?
Absolutely. Love it. Love it. Love it. I was once told that at a network marketing company, MLM company, and that was breaking down what a big CEO, a founder, what makes them grow these large businesses. And part of that, especially specifically in network marketing, is that founder's vision is so big that all the members on the teams, what they want to do fit into that vision. And that's why they follow him or her, because that vision is that big. And I can see myself in your vision.
Yep.
Love that.
Yep.
Love
That's
that.
it. Because that vision is aligned. Like Steve Jobs came out and said, whether you love him or hate him, came out and said,
Mhm.
I'm creating a computer for us. And when he said that, man, he immediately grabbed a third of the marketplace and said, oh my God, he's creating my computer. He created a massive movement of people that wanted to join him on that ride. That's what we're talking about. It's so badass that everybody else wants to jump in with you.
Excellent. Love it. Love it. Love it.
And I'm going to pull straight into you want that fire burning, but then you better get personal and you better have a face in front of your mind every day. So that ideal client work, and you know this because you're a Marie Forleo fan, Fortune, if you have to know who you're talking to. If you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. So niching down to the actual face and name of who you're then speaking to in all of your business copy is really, really, really important. And we're also afraid to say no to people. Then we talk to everybody and then we talk to nobody. And I think that's a big mistake that people make if you want to keep the momentum. It's funny, I had, when you said, if I was going to answer that next question of down the road, what you should be doing. I mean, I'm really talking about something you need to do from day one, but I'm going to skip ahead to the second thing that came into my mind. Please do not try to do this alone anymore. So build your community, and that you'll be doing for the rest of your business, for the rest of your life. But as fast as you can, get with like-minded people, dream up collaborations, go ahead and make some mistakes, but get yourself surrounded by other badasses who are running with you, dreaming with you, visioning with you, wanting to do those things with you. Because if you're sitting at home alone every day, is not going to be sustainable. You're going to fall in the pit too often. You're not going to have anyone holding you accountable. You're not going to have anyone dragging you along and saying, hey, come on, we're doing this. And we all need that so badly every day.
And that's it, because so many times you feel like you're an island. When you're running a business, you really feel like you're out there on your own, and you talk to your friends and family, and they don't understand it because they've never run their own business, and so they're giving you advice based on the knowledge they have, and it's not aligned with your vision, your business. So you kind of mentally start beating yourself up. Is this the right choice? Should I be doing this? Where's this going? But when you surround yourself with badasses, and going back to, that's why we create the mastermind behind all this. When you surround yourself with other people that'll keep you lit and are just going for it, it just gets easier. It's never easy, but it does get a hell of a lot easier because you're constantly surrounded with other people that are cheering you on. And I'd rather hang out with people that are cheering me on, cheering my success, than doing the misery stacking and hanging out with people that are like crawling in the hole with me when I'm miserable.
Yeah.
Right? Go get around people that light your ass up, and you're going to be amazed at how big and how much further you can go with your business.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So let's go. We're going to transition into some of my fun questions.
Once again, all those other ones suck. So they were horrible.
So the first question is, what do you do on your day off that most people don't know about?
Oh, we know we love this one, right? You go, Donnie, you go.
So I run a full working farm.
Donnie does goat yoga every day.
I don't do goat yoga.
I was like, what is it? Like, you gotta tell you.
No, I do have goats. So I got goats, chickens, ducks, dogs, wild animals. We have a full hobby farm for the two of us, and it's a lot of fun. For my wife and I, it's our sanctuary. It's our place to absolutely get away from it all. I mean, my farm's a half mile off any major road, so nobody ever comes down there unless you have a reason to. and it is our complete getaway. So that's the biggest thing, is we take care of the farm. What do you do, Miss Taekwondo Poetry Queen?
Well, true. If I'm not reciting poetry at the open mic, I'm probably at a rave, Fortune. So I got into the music.
So you want to talk about complete opposites, country boy and raver.
Did you hear, Nick, you see my eyes? Like, what?
She's hanging with the 16-year-old with the flashing lights.
You got it. How'd you know? I love it. It absolutely keeps me young. So I will definitely be the oldest one at the rave, usually. But hey, I like it.
I'm sending her
Totally
glow
awesome.
sticks for Christmas.
I know, right? That is totally awesome. All right. So we already talked about the favorite book. So what are your favorite quotes?
My God, hands down.
Without
even blinking twice. It's from Rocky Balboa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hopefully this. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can take a hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. And that's it.
That's how winning is done. Yes.
Yep, you got it. You got it.
Absolutely.
You own everything that happened to you. Tell your stories. If they wanted you to write warmly about them, they should have behaved better.
Stories? Oh,
that was Anne Lamott, a beautiful, famous author who wrote that quote. God, I love that quote.
Wow, they should have behaved better. I got some naughty stories. Man, they got me in all types of places. Excellent. All right, so and again, both of you can take turns here. But before we get into the final question of what you guys may have, what's coming up next for you, we definitely heard something you say you have an audio for the audience for TFP family to get there. Before we get to that question though, this is your opportunity. I'm gonna step back here, your mic, your camera, opportunity to share your message with TFP, and just go ahead and tell TFP the message that you must share with them today.
All yours, babe.
This one is easy for me. You were born, so you are worthy. Your message matters. What if the very thing you're still a little bit afraid to share is exactly what someone else needs to hear to either change or even save their life? It is not about you anymore. Your fear of not good enough is boring. It is time to be brave and share your story. And Donnie and I are here to help you do that.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw into that because here's the thing. Unleash. This world, we get one shot on this rodeo, one shot on this freaking rock. Unleash that inner badass and flipping go for it. You are put here, and inside you is a freaking burning ass candle, and it's put here to light everybody else up. Step into your greatness. Be the badass. Be that person you looked up to as a little kid. Be that person that you were inspired by when you started out, and go for it. Because I'm telling you, as you continue to step into and chase your greatness, other people are going to freaking be flocked to your flame, and they're going to grow. And when you create a movement of people that are just going all in one direction, you will become completely unstoppable. You are not here to play this game small. You're here.
It must be the goats.
Man.
You froze, Donnie. You froze right in the middle of your badassery. What are we going to do?
But at least it's not an ugly freeze. Because most people get
That's true. That's a pretty darn good looking freeze. I love it. Oh my God, that was weird. After this whole time we've been on.
I know, right? Right there at the end. Okay, so
I'm still here.
Until he comes back, is there anything else that we didn't discuss or that you want to make sure you touch on before we close things out with the
No, you got it. You got it all. Thank you so much. We just really enjoy, sharing the message. He'll come back on any second. Mm-hmm. We enjoy sharing the message, and we really enjoy helping people. And, we're just constantly in this to just further that ripple. We're feeling that every single day. And so loved your questions. Thank you. It helps us express, who we are to all of you guys.
Excellent. Excellent. So we mentioned that there is an audio, I believe it was.
Yes, you're gonna find a fantastic guided audio on yourhighvibebiz.com. Okay, you guys, you're gonna see it right up front when you go onto the website, and you can download it for free. Listen, tell us what you think, and you're also gonna find information about everything else we offer on that same website.
And that's yourhighvibebiz.com.
Biz.com.
biz.com. Excellent.
Yeah.
Definitely have that in the show notes. So from here, hey Donnie, I know you were in the middle of a passionate, you hadn't even dropped an F-bomb yet, so I know you was just building up to it. That's not what they mean when they say drop the mic. I mean,
I just dropped the whole Zoom. I'm on my phone hotspot now because I just dropped everything. I was
my God.
I'm out.
But your face was good when you froze, by the way.
You had a good freeze.
Yeah,
Nice.
Did you finish up while you was there? Before you
I was still going. You guys were gone, but I was still ripping and firing. So, y'all lost all the good stuff.
The universe cut you off, man.
Yeah, the universe is like, okay, you already said it, dude. Shut the hell up already. But really, it comes down to, man, go big in life. I mean, and seriously, unleash, because no one else is going to do this for you. No one else is going to show up. No one else is going to make it easier. Go through it. Get punched hard and go again. Get up and go again. Right? The more you get after it and continue to move forward, the more the universe is going to step forward and say, holy shit, it's about time. Unleash, guys. Go for it. I promise you, when you fully unleash, you're going to finally meet you. And that's what makes all the difference.
Excellent. Now you can drop the Zoom.
Okay, now we're out. Drop the Zoom. Wait. Bar, right? Is that what?
Bar. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So Laura already gave the link for the audio there. But now it's time to go ahead and leave what's next for you, and then how the TFP family can connect with you.
So the next for us is if you know of stages that need to hear this message and of what we're doing, that's what we're looking for. If you know of other podcast guys out there that would resonate with this message, by all means. One thing that I love doing on every podcast I go on, guys, do me a favor. Fortune runs a hell of a show here. This is a great show, great format, great flow. Would you do me a favor and go give this guy a review?
Yeah.
What you don't understand from podcast is reviews are the lifeblood. And this is how everybody finds everybody's show. Go leave him a freaking 5-star review. If you got any sort of nugget or gold out of this thing, if we brought you any value, go leave him a review. And then better yet, go tell one other person about this show, because this dude is running a fun show. I mean, only half the questions were actually fun. The other half, but go show him some love. And that's the greatest way you can show somebody some love on a podcast, is by leaving them, a review and sharing it and telling one other person about us. Laura?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, come connect with us on yourhighvibebiz.com. You guys, send us a note, send us some love. Come find either of us on Facebook. We both run free Facebook groups. Just look us up by our name. You'll find us. It won't be hard. But feel free to send us an email through our contact form. And if we can help you in any way, we will.
Definitely have the links there in the show notes. And I want to thank both of you, Laura and Donnie, for being on the show, keeping it interesting, keeping it lively. You're only second goat farmer I know. Well, I guess I really don't know the first one. I just read about him. Dana Derricks is the only really don't really know about. But that's awesome. But
y'all hear the rooster in the background?
I do. That's what reminded me of that.
Right. So I'm telling you, I'm on a farm. I ain't kidding.
Wait a minute. It's like only 2:00 in the afternoon. Why is that rooster crowing?
Because that myth it's a myth that they only crow in the mornings, right?
Got it.
It's all day.
Excellent. Enjoy your next your next rave there, Laura. Also,
I shall.
In there too.
Coming
Absolutely.
Coming up soon.
Oh, I bet there is. Look at you smiling about it, thinking about it.
I am.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. This has been awesome. I had a great time. Hope the TFP family walks away with some interesting information to move forward, especially with the ideas you have in your book. Then go ahead and grab a copy of the most recent book here, Your High Vibe Strategic Workbook for Badass Entrepreneurial Success. And of course, if it has badass in the title,
you've just listened to episode number 30 of the Wealthy Author Podcast with your host, D. Orlando Fortune. I want to give thanks to our sound and audio guy, Kyle Binge, and of course to our creator. Now, do you have any questions or comments? I want you to email them to fortune@thoughtfortunepress.com. And if you want to turn your ideas into a branded book that books more speaking engagements and generates more leads, head over to thoughtfortunepress.com/4brains to grab a copy of the 4 Brains template and map out your book. It's so easy. You'll wonder why everyone hasn't written a book. And that's at thoughtfortunepress.com/4brains. Now, if you like the show, do us a favor. Share, like, and join. Take a screenshot and share the episode with the hashtag Wealthy Author Podcast. Then show us how much you like us by giving us 5 stars and a review on iTunes. You heard Donnie say it also. And finally, join us every week by subscribing to the podcast so that you don't miss an episode. God bless y'all, and I'll talk to you next time. And remember, you're only one book away.